Let me welcome everybody to our broadcast this afternoon. We appreciate you tuning in. We're on Facebook Pizza and Ola page. We're on the Kincaid Cub page. We're on Shir Hadash Synagogue's page, and a special new page, which we'll announce at some point in the next couple of weeks. Another project that we're working on. But we are really happy to have you with us. We're going to be, this is our 10th anniversary today of Pizza and Ola on Twitter. So very exciting. But we're not really going to celebrate that today. What we're focusing on is that stuff that's been going on the last couple of days, and it's still happening. A lot of people are going to be affected by Laura, and we're going to have a discussion today with some of really my favorite people in the world who do just absolutely amazing work when it comes, like every day of the week, but then when it comes to disasters, they are there, they are ready, and they know what to do. And I'm really honored and pleased that they are joining us today. So we have, let me put this on gallery view so I can see both Cait and Amy. There you go. Now this is working. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bear with me one second. This is the first time in these broadcasts that we're incorporating Zoom, so it's an adventure. But y'all can see me. Hopefully the general public can see the three of us, and there we go. So, Amy, I know we only have a couple of minutes, so we're going to start with you. I think this is now almost like the 4th anniversary that that we met, and when you really started this unbelievable project, and it was after the flooding in Gonzales in the Baton Rouge area, and both of you, which is absolutely amazing, and what you were able to come up with. Okay, we're going to talk about the project that you worked on in a little bit. But with Amy, what you were able to develop there in those few days, tell us about what that was like and what just that experience was.
Well, I feel like almost one year in August, we're living that experience. And I guess the good thing is we have learned a lot in the process. And I joke all the time that the reason we're efficient is because I'm just a bossy little girl that likes to tell everybody what to do. And somehow people listen, which is great. But, it is total organized chaos. And right now I have probably 10 screens open in my Facebook Messenger of people who are like, I can do this, I can do that. I'm in the car, where should I deliver? And you go, okay, everybody, let's breathe, because we all want to help, but we need to help right away. And we've learned that in the first 3 days, what is needed is very differently than what is needed even 2 weeks after a disaster. And so making sure that we can fill those immediate needs right away, and then be available and keep the momentum and the enthusiasm of our volunteers, because we know that this isn't the kind of thing that goes away in 48 hours.
Right. In the immediate needs, where we know it's difficult to actually getting on site, do we have people that are there who are able to get boots on the ground right off the bat?
Yes, what I love is that South Louisiana has, I feel like we have a bunch of professional volunteers who are out there all the time, and as soon as disaster is approaching, they are already on the ground and putting these elaborate works in place. So I know the team at Second Harvest Food Bank has people on the ground. I have friends and family and people within Louisiana government on the ground. So it really, we're getting real-time information, and sometimes that real-time information is not exactly what you're seeing on the news. So for me, as we were watching, honestly, the first storm and the potential to have 2 storms in the Gulf back-to-back, I was already making calls, sending out emails, and just kind of saying, hey, y'all, remember me? I call you in August. Get ready. I'm going to call you again this week. Just wait for my call. And so I spent a lot of time just kind of giving people heads up that we were going to need their help. And then from there, it's almost like a game of telephone where you know your network and who you can count on, and they start to act independently, and then they reach out to you and say, well, you know, I can get 4 churches where we can distribute. Boom, I got those. Now you tell me when you're ready for them to have product. And so it's amazing how you can be prepared, but so many other people have done this that it kind of starts to just all magically work together, and it's just amazing. You know, it's amazing, and it makes me happy every day that I am not the only person out there who is this dedicated and this passionate about disaster relief. And when you get 5 or 6 of those people to become friends, then it's monumental what you can accomplish. And Annette, who is with Need Serve and the Jesus Alliance, I met her through someone from the Cajun Navy, and she helped us get private planes to deliver food to the Carolinas. And you know, you start to realize that when they need something, they'll call me, and vice versa. And we have enough knowledge in the whole group to try and figure it out if we don't have the answer. Mm-hmm. Yes. So the biggest thing is to think about, if you were hot and outside and not in your house, what do you want right now? And the answer is you want bottled water, you want maybe prepackaged fruit cups, granola bars, shelf stable items that you know that if there's no running water, there's no electricity, you can eat safely. So I always say now is the time for shelf stable product. Now is the time for organizations to start raising funds to create a hot meal product, which is what, you know, is the next phase. I'm currently working with Second Harvest Food Bank, St. Bernard Project, Need Serve, Jesus Alliance, a whole bunch of people. And what we're trying to do is put in place that at the end of the day today, we say these are the 6 most needed items. This is where you should drop them off, and we will get them to the right people. And it's really important that if an organization is asking for something specific, that you help them get that, because it's right now we want granola bars. We not necessarily the time for cleaning out the pantry and giving us canned goods. You know, that's down the road. They're going to need that, but right now there are very specific needs, and it's food and water and housing, and that is what the focus should be. And if we can make that a little bit easier by focusing our efforts around those things right now, I think we'll have a greater impact.
So I literally just wrapped up our staff meeting 20 minutes ago, and most of our staff meeting was spent talking about what we can do. So like Amy, you know, this is not new to us. You know, like we're very used to how you react in the aftermath of disaster. And it's unfortunate that we all have a playbook, but we have a playbook. You know, to Amy's point, basic needs are the immediate thing. You need to make sure people have access to shelter. Well, you know, that's something that's well underway already. You need to make sure people have access to, you know, the basics that they may have lost when they were evacuating, whether it's, you know, gift cards to get them so that they can go pick out their own clothes, or you're bringing them socks, blankets, whatever. And you also need to, you know, you need to make sure that you understand that while you think you're doing something great by donating your grandma's housecoat from 1973, people are not looking for used clothes. And, you know, cleaning out your, you know, your dad's leisure suit that he wore to prom is probably not going to be a helpful use of your time or resources right now. So, I think we all want to help, but we have to start with basic needs. And like Amy said, it's not the canned pumpkin in your pantry. It's making sure that people have access to shelf stable, reasonably healthy things that can help fuel them right now in these first few days. And so we're working on that. The way that we're approaching this is we see this, like you do, as being in a couple of phases. The first thing is there are a lot of evacuees in New Orleans. Is there anything we can do to immediately assist them? So Carolyn, whose camera isn't on, but I hope she's hearing me. Carolyn's already done a lot of research. Hey, Carolyn. Carolyn did a lot of amazing research last night. She went to the hotels that took evacuees under the state voucher program, and she's talked to everybody. And so one of my phone calls this afternoon is going to be to see how the Jewish community can mobilize to help these evacuees through our contact at the Sheridan. Again, you have to be really careful with that. You don't want to just dump a bunch of stuff places, then it's just wasteful. The second thing is making sure that people who are there on the ground in the affected areas, the areas that were kind of ravaged overnight by Hurricane Laura, have what they need in terms of eventually getting hot meals. Like Amy talked about that too. Like, how are we getting stuff to them? And so right now we're actually trying to not only figure out what we can do to help people here in New Orleans who evacuated, but also how we can help Second Harvest. So we're going to be mobilizing a volunteer drive and directing our donors to Second Harvest to help, because Second Harvest is one of the biggest players in the region in terms of getting immediate relief to people who need it. Whether it's the pandemic, whether it's a disaster, they are always on the ground and they are among the first. There's other amazing people like Amy and like World Chef's Kitchen, but Second Harvest is a huge and important organization. And then, eventually we move into the recovery phase down the line, which is, getting the contractor bags in there, getting volunteers in there, and that there are a lot of organizations who will help us with that as well. We're not obviously there yet. Right now, it's how do we help people right now in ways that will actually be helpful, that will be meaningful. And I think Amy's already touched on a lot of it. But, Carolyn and I, the way that we work together is I'm the organizer and the signal booster, and Carolyn's the one who has the chainsaw in her trunk. Yep. Right. I'm going to defer to Carolyn on this because this is very much in her wheelhouse. I'm great at yelling. I'm great at, sending people to creating the Amazon wish list and, signal boosting. That's my strength, is getting the news out. Carolyn is absolutely the boots on the ground of the two of us, mostly because you saw one of my small members of the Army of Darkness running by. I have 3 small children, so it can sometimes be tough for me to go out and actually do some of the volunteer work I used to do before kids. But that doesn't stop me from trying to create supply drives. And Carolyn then usually takes them to the next very exceptional level. She's coming to us from it looks like the library or the attic and Knives Out.
Oh yeah, I'm in the Knives Out house, isn't it?
Please don't stab yourself to death.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think one thing that's important if people want to donate actual items is making sure that you have a contact to get them to. And I know that Jonathan and Julia back in 2016 were really great about, before they took that truck out to Baton Rouge, they had somebody that was there to receive it, there to process the donations. So I'm actually in contact with mutual aid people that are over there in some of the parishes like Vermilion Parish and Cameroon, those areas. and working on setting up places to actually get some of those hard donations, things like diapers, things like that. And one thing I've learned from going to disasters like Hurricane Michael a couple of years ago is that, the local Home Depot and Lowe's are, if they have power, they're going to be cleaned out of supplies so quickly. So if people can donate things, if they want to donate hard items, things like tarps and nails and hammers and things like that, so people can do roof repairs and emergency things, because temporary housing is obviously going to be a really big concern, and a lot of people might be staying in their houses as they repair them. So those kind of supplies are definitely useful as well, if people want to donate those. And I mean, looking at some of the pictures that I'm seeing, this is a big donation and a big ask, but if people have chainsaws and chainsaw experience and can get out there in the next few days, that would help clear some of the roads and get people kind of back moving forward and everything. But you want to make sure that you have experience and not just go buy a chainsaw. And
right, like none of you want me out there with a chainsaw. It would be.
And one thing we talked about just real quick, one thing we talked about in the in some of the mutual aid discussions is making sure that if you have ideally you would have a little crew that knows how to do like the mucking and the gutting and the things like that. Because of the pandemic, you want to make sure that you're not like exposing a whole bunch of extra people to possibly COVID exposure. And so like N95 masks, if people want to donate those are huge for people that are going to be doing all the work, the mucking, the gutting, and possibly sharing spaces with people who might have been exposed to COVID-19. So mask donations are super important.
Also, I want to point out that Carolyn and I were in the world's longest Twitter direct message chain last night, where our friend Dejanay, and I don't know if she's watching, but hey, Dejanay. Dejanay actually worked with some friends at Xavier University to create a supply drive for the items that actually Will has listed on the screen. So if you live in Uptown, Gerttown, Mid-City, and you can drop any of those items off at the Xavier University Fitness Center between now and next Friday, they're accepting collections. They are going to work with Carolyn and her mutual aid contacts in the region and get those to people, starting this weekend.
Oh, it was Tractor Supply and they have a location down in St. Bernard Parish, and they were running like a tarp special right after Hurricane Michael, which was super handy. But I found when I went over there, and they had category 4, category 5 damage, and roofing was a huge thing. Anything to help with people patching up holes in their roofs, and windows blown out, things like that. So just thinking any of those things along the lines. I actually found a list somewhere somebody had posted, and I posted it on Facebook this morning, that had a really great breakdown of here's what you'll need in this situation. Here's what you need in this situation. And one thing to point out is even if people didn't get storm surge flood, if they got roof damage and then water came in, they're still going to have to rip out a lot of drywall and carpet and things like that and deal with mold. So, I mean, any of those kind of supplies will be good for both people.
And I just want to say how amazing those Amazon wish lists can be. When we did the relief for the Bahamas, one of the challenges that we had was that people wanted to help and donate, but logistically getting the product there or to get it to a boat in Florida was complicated. And we started to learn that Amazon sells water by the pallet. Amazon sells number 10 cans. So we were able to actually set up wish lists and have things bulk drop shipped to the port so that people could pick it up. And so working with organizations who can accept that, it makes it really easy. And if you have an Amazon Smile account, whatever your nonprofit of choice is, also gets a percentage of what you're spending. So it really helps to kind of keep the money flowing and the product flowing, and especially saves money on the logistic end of small organizations or volunteer groups of trying to get product.
Right. I think one of the complicating factors for all of us right now is that, everybody's brought it up, is that we are in the middle of a pandemic, one that has struck this state pretty tremendously. And so what that's done is that's created both supply chain issues and delivery issues. Now, I mean, Amazon does have they've kind of cornered the market on their own sort of transport setup, but it's not a perfect system. And with the changes to the post office over the last couple of months, and just the fact that, you know, it's harder to get some items, you know, the things that we took for granted, you know, getting antibacterial wipes like Clorox wipes used to be something that was on every single hurricane list, like every wish list we ever put together. A lot of that stuff's going to be harder. It's not like we can run out and buy pallets of Lysol. I mean, you can buy it in bulk for, you know, at a, you know, but you can't necessarily get the retail item. And so, you know, that's going to be one of the challenges over the next couple of months is how to get that stuff in bulk, because, you know, from a donor centric perspective, and this is something Amy touched on, it's, you want to make it convenient for people to help. You know, different donors are going to help in different ways. Some people are going to help with their time. Some people are going to help with their money. And, you know, some people are going to do both. And so you want to make it easy. You want to make it easy for people to feel like they can get involved in whatever capacity they have available. So I'm sorry if my internet keeps going out. We have 3 different Chromebooks going with school right now. So I think we're gonna, you know, what we can probably get done really quickly is an Amazon wish list, but we have to understand that that's not going to be a perfect situation. Right.
Someone has to be able to receive it, unpack it, and give it out. So right. Those are the logistics that people like me and Cait are trying to work out behind the scenes. When 20 people are like, I have this, I'm ready to give it to you. I can't take ownership of it until it has a home. And I don't physically take ownership. I facilitate getting it from point A to point B. So the A person gives it to the B person. And that is the only way that, you know, my little one-woman show can do it. But you realize that, you know, there's so much that happens behind the scenes in disaster relief that go far beyond, you know, what you think it takes to get that, you know, hot lunch or that granola bar or that bottle of water that someone in a car dropped off and gave to you.
Yeah. Also, there's a dignity attached to it. Mm-hmm. But masks are a really good idea. One of the things I think also I would say is baby wipes, because they're multi-purpose. You can use them for more than your kid's butt. You can use them for a lot of wipe downs of things, which are really handy. Hand sanitizer would be something I would consider. And then the other thing is, I know when we talk about toiletries, we were kind of like generically talking about things like shampoo, toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant. But one of the things that's been really useful for me as like Carolyn, I grew up in the Florida Panhandle. And so the two of us have been through our share of hurricanes in our day. And the one thing that I always found really helpful were shower wipes. So they were these sort of deodorizing wipes that also kind of, you know, were antibacterial and could help you get through, you know, those long, hot August days when you don't have access to power, you feel horrible. You just want to feel like a human being again for even a moment. Something like that. But I think all of those are, I think all of those are kind of striking the balance of COVID and Laura. Not sure where the one ends and the other begins right now.
And I would add elderly care products like
Depends.
Depends, things like that. Really are sometimes overlooked.
Yeah. We actually ran into that with when we were doing Puerto Rico relief, Carolyn. I don't know if you remember, we actually had that whole conversation about elder care because we worked with some of our best friends on Twitter to fill a pod of supplies that got shipped directly into San Juan.
What
like
I
600
heard,
rings, right?
yeah, what I saw yesterday was like 600, and I went over to the Sheraton last night and saw quite a lot of people just walking around that had come in from Lake Charles and all those areas, and I know they were taking them. And so I posted the information about dropping stuff off there, and then I saw like the mayor saying this morning that they didn't want that to occur, but I do have a contact. Because it seemed like the Sheraton was somewhat set up to receive things. And then they had a plan from a friend who went there later last night. If they didn't use it at the Sheraton, there's other people staying across the street at the Marriott. They were going to distribute it in between the two. So for people who reach out, I've just actually been giving them that woman's number. And I hope that she's not getting inundated with phone calls. But
she's getting a phone call from me today.
Okay. It seems like she's kind of helping coordinate. Hilton Riverside was directing everybody to donate to the Red Cross, and I know that nobody actually listened. I won't say, yeah.
I think that's going to be really important because we want to make sure that we can continue to lower the spread of the virus. A lot of people are in close quarters right now. There's probably going to be an inevitable spike, but we can, all of us, help lower that transmission. I think that's a really good idea. And, she's right around the corner from me. She's Carolyn's old housemate. So whatever we can do to help with that, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I want to add the Community Foundation of Southwest Louisiana. They've already opened a fund so that they can actually help with financial distributions to affected residents of that area. I think this is where community foundations, are super helpful in terms of like getting cash to people as necessary. But also like y'all, if you can, like help donate to Second Harvest. That's gonna, the people who are on the ground already are people like Second Harvest and groups like World Central Kitchen. They are there. They are preparing hot meals. They're already there in place. They were already ready for this, like Will said.
And for anyone who, we work very closely with Second Harvest, and I have a Facebook page called Disaster and Flood Outreach New Orleans Cooks. And on that Facebook page, we put the links to the partners that we're working with. But also, I think it's important that we cheer on the people that are helping to make people like the Jewish Federation and the Cajun Navy successful. And so as information comes in and as donations come in, I try to keep a running list on the Facebook page so we can cheer for and thank the individuals and the businesses who are stepping up and donating what we need right now. It's exciting to see the momentum. If you realize that maybe you were the spark in your little neighborhood and all of a sudden 10 other people have now told 10 other people they know, you realize the impact that one person can have by just generating the right amount of enthusiasm and excitement about helping others.
Unfortunately, this is not a new experience for any of us.
Yeah, we already know. We know it's there. We know. But like Cait said, we plan for this. Second Harvest plans for this. Organizations and volunteers like us, we have seen our share of disaster over the last 15 years, and it once you have the formula that works, when you put the wheels in motion, it works, and that's what's great.
And Carolyn, it's become so near and dear to Carolyn that she's now getting a master's degree in this specific area. You should do it, Will.
I mean, I'm not sure like what I'll use it for afterwards. I'm hoping it makes me a better disaster volunteer.
Do you have a certificate in golf cart?
I do, yes. And that was not from the program though. But I know, like, and it's actually kind of funny because some of the lessons they talk about in the program about like not self-deploying, I pretend like I don't hear, because I mean I don't technically self-deploy. I try to have a contact where I'm going, because I found in my experience when I went to Michael, I did kind of, because I was just going to friends' houses and then trying to find who to help. And you're way more efficient if you do have contacts of like who needs the help, where are we going to meet, what kind of tools do we need, things like that. And so I'm learning that in the process of kind of learning in the program and volunteering as well. But yeah, the program's really super interesting. I think it's more set up for people who want to go work for Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, and I probably don't want to do that. But it's really interesting just to see and get all this information about how to deal with disasters, like the secondary disaster that's going on in Lake Charles right now,
right.
With the chemical spill / fire and everything, and how that's going to really impact people. You can't go back to those areas right now because of the possibility of being exposed to some really toxic fumes. And that's probably why I have the annoying habit of self-deploying now to disasters. But yeah, now that I see, like I saw Stephanie Abrams, some of the video from last night.
Oh yeah.
It's like, why are you standing out in that? But I get it, because it's kind of exciting in a really awful, terrible, weird way to be out there in the worst of it. And you want to put that on your resume tape. I mean, I'm appreciative of all the people that do show the actual destruction of these disasters, because maybe if people saw all the damage that they cause, and just the fact that we're seeing these storms come every single year, maybe we'll do something to address the underlying causes of why we're getting these monster once in a lifetime storms every single year. But yeah.
That part right there. When you're getting direcos in Iowa, and Western Colorado is on fire, a huge chunk of California is on fire. It's a lot. It's a lot, and they have a lot of similar root causes, unfortunately.
So are those root causes also a result of everyone who ate king cake before carnival season too?
That was Duris's wife. I hope he's watching. Cake from Will until it was the Feast of the Epiphany. I have my standards. Rules are rules. I didn't make the rules, but I follow the rules, and I make sure that my kids are not buying mid king cake.
I guess so. I mean, sadly, the thrill most of the time was actually just the thrill of getting overtime pay because we paid so terribly most of the time. And then also like snacks provided to us, although I worked several storms. I'll never forget coming back after Hurricane Isaac, after days and days of working and no power and being handed half a sandwich because that was all they had to give. It was like, here's your slice of bread. So yeah, I mean, I guess that is it. You know, the old adage, if it bleeds, it leads. So you don't be the only station in town that doesn't send your reporters out into the wild while everybody else is. But I mean, I again, I'm thankful that they do and go do that because I think maybe it keeps other people from doing it. Although in the era of TikTok and everything, I think everybody's their own podcaster now. So
I feel like people forgot that there was this entire movie called Twister about, you know, how you can the various ways you can die when you are thrill seeking in a natural disaster. So okay. It's a busy day. Okay. Got it. Also, I don't want us to jinx Mardi Gras season. Like, you know, I'm very superstitious about Mardi Gras at this point. You know, coming to my own self-anecdotal conclusion that COVID was stalking Crew de Vue this year. Yeah. There will always be king cake. During a very specifically prescribed period of year, people not buy the season.
I like your style, Cait. I like your style.
There's a poor Twitter user whose wife very infamously ate king cake after Ash Wednesday, and then the COVID outbreak happened like almost simultaneously, and we've all spent the last 6 months blaming his wife, with him leading it, by the way. So
that's it. You don't want to be that person. Whether or not you did it, you don't want to be that person.
Be the person who wears a mask. Be the person who wears a mask out in public. Be the person who washes your hands frequently and has hand sanitizer on your person if you can. And also be the person who knows when to buy king cake. Those are the very simple rules for reducing the transmission of COVID-19 in our community. Well, Amy has the entire Facebook page that's really awesome. So I would start with Amy.
Absolutely. And Cait, y'all keep me up to date and we'll add what y'all are doing on the Facebook page. But the Facebook page is called Flood and Disaster Outreach New Orleans Cooks. We were flood outreach, and then we just kind of realized that we were doing a lot of things. So we are not officially a nonprofit. I'm just a girl who runs a Facebook group. But we partner with many nonprofits, and we do have a structure. We're not completely rogue because we know, like Carolyn said, you shouldn't go all rogue by yourself. So we do. We like to partner with small organizations and big organizations who we can trust and who our friends in the community can trust that if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And people like Second Harvest Food Bank, people like St. Bernard Project, people like Need Serve. We know that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So we share that on our page. And you can find me at Chef Amy Sins on Facebook and Instagram too.
I don't know that anyone needs to find me, but you can find me on Twitter at Nolan Nolgal. I'm very wordy, as you all can already tell. Carolyn and I are often tweeting back and forth at each other, so I'm pretty easy to track down. No, I am not a lawyer. It has, before you ask. But you can find me at Nolan Nolgal. You can also find me on Facebook pretty easily. But Carolyn is actually one of the best people for getting information out. Like, I'm an aggregator and so is Carolyn, but Carolyn has a huge social media following because of her misspent youth as a reporter. So I mean, I definitely defer to Carolyn as a person to follow if you're looking to follow one person who can kind of steer you towards aggregated resources. I would say that Amy and Carolyn are I'm a great for back-end logistics and for signal boosting. Carolyn's even better at all of that. Right, Scott Walker. For those of you not wrong, Scott Walker.
Yeah, I was going to say, and apologize my language, but you can come for the news and stay for the shit posting, which I do on Twitter. So, because I like to make a lot of jokes as well. And then if you follow both Cait and I, apologies in advance for the UF FSU back and forth.
It's true. It's really funny because Carolyn went to UF, I went to Florida State. We both grew up in the Panhandle and went to IB high schools, and we both somehow ended up in New Orleans, knowing one another, trying to do our best to help people when they need us.
So I'll tell you a funny story. This is the third rendition of what I'm about to say. I realized that in our broadcast earlier, the audio had cut out after we finished the Zoom, and then I re-recorded it, except for the fact that I didn't start the live video button. So I did that all for my own benefit, just talking to myself for about 8 minutes, which is okay. Can be done. It's helpful. But I realized I forgot to actually broadcast this to those of you who I wanted to say it to. So anyway, we're back. We're going to edit this with the first part of this video that we did earlier. And again, special thanks to Chef Amy Sins and Cait Gladow and Carolyn Scofield for being our guests via Zoom today, and a little test of technology that we were trying out. So I just wanted to take this opportunity for a couple of things while I had the chance here in our King Cait Cub studios, and I wanted to give some very sad news of the loss of one of the people in our King Cait Cub family, of Aaron Randall, who was one of the owners of Girls Gone Vegan, was struck by an impaired bicyclist a couple of weeks ago in St. Bernard Parish early in the morning, and unfortunately passed away last week. Our hearts go out to her sister Erin and to her entire family and to everyone involved with Girls Gone Vegan. Such a great bakery of what Erin and Hayden have been able to do in the 6 years that they were here, of really catering to a specific dietary community with some really tasty products. And even if you didn't need gluten-free, they still were really, really good. And they have built up a great business. It's a devastating loss, obviously, for Hayden. She had already indicated that she's just not able to continue the bakery. I mean, of all the times that I have dealt with the bakery, it's always been with Hayden. I actually never met Erin because she was busy in the kitchen baking up some incredible products. And it is a great loss for the community, and our hearts go out to Hayden and her family. May Erin's memory be for a blessing. Speaking of blessings, I did want to talk a little bit about the anniversary that's looming. In just a couple of days. Obviously, this is Katrina week, which is a lot different from Shark Week. It's a lot less fun. But we're coming up on a very challenging emotional anniversary, and it's hard for a lot of people, especially when you see the events of Hurricane Laura last night, and you're watching the storm coverage, and it takes us back to 15 years ago, pretty much almost this very day, when we found out of just how dire of a storm this was going to be. This was the Saturday night, August 27th. It was the night of Midsummer Mardi Gras. There were so many things that were exciting going on. All of those got canceled. The city, being out in the city, it was a ghost town. And there was just a sense of dread in the air. Everybody was evacuating. The roads were packed. I was lucky to get out the next day, early in the morning, one of the last flights out. And obviously it was a very challenging time for a lot of people, devastating time for a lot of people. One of those times when you just follow in the roadmap of life, and then all of a sudden something goes boom, and your entire life changes. And it's all in how you're able to focus after that. I was very lucky. I got back a couple weeks after the storm. My house was okay, and I was able to be here and help out at my parents' house, my brother's house, and office, and work hard in helping to rebuild the community. And it was a very challenging time, but a very rewarding time. It was such an energy level in the city, and so exciting is the wrong word, but therapeutic and thrilled. I mean, just thrilling to be able to be here and to be able to be part of the rebuilding of this community. Very good things happened for me after we were able to reopen the restaurant eventually. I met my wife. We've been together for 15 years almost. It was the second week of Ogden After Hours, and a friend introduced us, and then there were only a few events going on in the city, so everything that was going on, there were a lot of people there. So we kept running into each other, and then eventually started going out. And, well, we've been together for 15 years, and very fortunate to have Olivia, almost turning 12, who has been a rock star during these last few months. And we know that there have been a lot of challenges for a lot of people, personally, medically, everything else. But the beauty of it all is how we can respond with resilience and strength and the desire to help out. With what Amy and Carolyn and Cait and many others are doing is seeing the need before it happens and being able to be out there and knowing the people to be able to get food and material and supplies of where it needs to be. And they are doing such a tremendous job, and it's so beautiful to see that work in action and to be a part of making that happen. You look at where is this sunshine in all of these storms. The sunshine is in the response of so many people that want to make things better. And to ask, what can I do? What can I do today? What can I do right now? That easiest thing is the Amazon wish list, which we're going to put out. We'll have the information on our sites, Facebook.com/Pizzanola, King Cake Hub, Shir Hadash. We'll have that information provided, and be sure to follow Nolgal, News Carolyn, and Chef Amy Sins on Twitter. Also, Pizzanola and King Cake Hub, and Will Samuels if you so choose. But again, it's our opportunity to be able to be boots on the ground if we're so able, to get out there and directly help, to be able to serve meals to those in need. It's a tremendous feeling. It's tremendous to be able to be out there and helping out, giving out supplies and giving out food. And I wish that I could be in a car heading down to Lake Charles right now to do that. but that's a little bit challenging at this point. But again, that's kind of what we're doing now today, is getting the information out of what is needed, where can we give it, what can we do today, right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. We'll see you hopefully on September 6th with a lot of information about King Cait Cup and what we have plans for Carnival 2021. And maybe before then, if the situation arises. Or if we just need to pop in on Facebook Live and say hi. Anyway, Will Samuels, thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.